The clippers hummed against my scalp, and thick tufts of my dark hair slid down the salon cape like feathers being plucked from a bird. I was grinning, actually grinning, thinking about the look on my daughter's face when she saw what I'd done. She'd been so self-conscious since the chemo had taken her hair, avoiding mirrors, tugging on beanies, even in the house. Last week she'd whispered, "I feel like the only bald girl in the world." My heart broke, and I promised myself I'd change that. Maria, my stylist and part-time therapist, had just started buzzing the back of my head when my phone lit up on the counter. Damon, my boyfriend of almost a year. I picked it up, expecting something sweet. Maybe a "you're amazing" or "can't wait to see you." Instead, I read this. "My cousin's wedding is next week and you're my +1, so you better not show up looking like a bald freak. You're already lucky I'm not breaking up with you over this. Make sure you get a good wig." The clippers stopped. My lungs forgot how to breathe. My fingers went cold around the phone. Maria noticed immediately. She leaned forward, her voice gentle. "What's wrong, gorgeous?" I couldn't speak. My throat felt locked. I just turned the screen toward her. Her face changed like a light switch had flipped, concern gone, replaced by a fury that made her brown eyes look almost black. She straightened and, without hesitation, raised her voice so the whole salon could hear. "Ladies, we have a situation." Every head turned. Foils crinkled. Blow dryers went silent. Even the woman in the middle of a Brazilian blowout shouted from the back, "What happened?" Maria didn't sugarcoat it. Her boyfriend says she can't go to the wedding bald. Wants her in a wig. For a single heartbeat, silence hung in the air. Then an older woman with a platinum bob leaned over from her station. "Oh, he thinks she's getting a wig. He has no idea what's coming." That was the match. The woman with highlights announced that her best friend was a professional makeup artist. The nail tech chimed in. Her sister did event photography and could come as a guest with her camera. The college girl with fresh bangs started texting her mom, who owned a boutique with jewelry that would make you look like a queen. Maria clicked the clippers back on, leaning close enough for only me to hear. "Text him, don't worry. I'll look beautiful at the wedding." My fingers shook as I typed it out. Seconds later, his reply lit the screen. "Good. Make sure the wig looks natural. Don't embarrass me." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was dangerous. "Perfect," Maria said with a sly smile. "He thinks you'll be hiding. He has no idea you're going to walk in looking like a warrior." The next hour was like watching a covert mission come together. Special scalp oils to make my skin glow. A crash course on walking into a room like I owned it. A cancer survivor in the corner teaching me contouring tricks to make my cheekbones look like weapons. When Maria finally spun my chair toward the mirror, my heart caught in my throat. I didn't see a tired single mom with a shaved head. I saw a woman who looked like she could survive anything and make her enemies choke on it. They wouldn't let me pay. "Consider it a community project," Maria said, pressing her number into my palm. By the time I walked out, we had a group chat with 12 women and a detailed plan for the wedding. Morning of makeup, borrowed pearls, a stunning blue dress from the boutique, even a paparazzi guest, ready to snap candid shots of Damon's face when he saw me. I drove home with the windows down, feeling lighter than I had in months. My daughter's face lit up the moment she saw me. "Mama, you look beautiful," she whispered, tracing my bare scalp with her small fingers. For the first time since her diagnosis, she smiled without forcing it. And that was before Damon even knew what was coming. The morning of the wedding, my phone was already buzzing before I'd even poured my coffee. The salon group chat was on fire. "Makeup artist is set up at my place. Borrowed pearls are cleaned and ready. Blue dress is steamed. You're gonna look like royalty." Maria sent the final message. "Operation Warrior Mama begins in 2 hours." I got my daughter settled with cartoons, and a friend from the group chat, who also happened to be a pediatric nurse, came over to babysit. The women weren't just making me look good. They were making sure I felt safe. By 11 a.m., I was in a borrowed living room, the makeup artist sweeping shimmer across my eyelids. My bald head gleamed under the light, framed by pearls at my ears and a soft, smoky eye. The blue dress clung in all the right places, the color so vivid it made my skin look like porcelain. "You're going to make him choke on his own arrogance," Maria said, adjusting the drape of the dress. I didn't know if I'd ever felt this beautiful or this dangerous. The wedding venue was a sprawling country club with manicured lawns and a chandelier big enough to crush a car. Damon was already there when I walked in. I spotted him instantly, leaning in the corner, scrolling his phone. When he looked up, his eyes went wide. His whole body stiffened, like he'd been hit. For a second, I thought he'd recover, based on that charming smile he used with his family. But no, his mouth tightened, and he looked away. I crossed the room toward him, my heels clicking like punctuation marks. He didn't move, didn't kiss me, didn't hug me, just stared past me like I was a stranger. It should have stung, but I could still hear Maria's voice in my head. He expects a wig. He's getting a warrior. So I smiled, big, genuine, radiant, and let the energy of the room wash over me. And that's when it happened. One of the bridesmaids' moms pulled me aside, her voice soft. "Sweetheart, I heard about your daughter. You're both warriors. That's real beauty." The bride herself came over. "What you're doing for your little girl, that's amazing. You both are amazing." Even Damon's own mother approached me, while he stood right there, and said, "You look so strong. So beautiful. I'm proud of you." Every conversation Damon had was punctuated by someone asking about my daughter, praising my strength. I could see the muscle in his jaw twitch with each mention. He hated that I was the center of admiration, not him. By the time dinner was served, he was barely speaking to me. Then, in the middle of the reception, he leaned close enough to hiss, "You embarrassed me." And just like that, he walked away, claiming food poisoning to anyone who asked why he left early. I stayed. I danced with strangers who felt like friends. The photographer guest caught candid shots of me laughing, twirling, and glowing under the chandelier light. I went home buzzing from the joy of it, until my phone lit up on the nightstand. Message after message. WTF was that? You embarrassed me. You look disgusting. Ugly. Get a wig tomorrow, or we're done. I'm serious. By the 10th message, the insults were so vicious I stopped reading. I didn't reply. Not a single word. Instead, I screenshotted them all. Every single one. Then I forwarded them to his mother. And that was the moment I unknowingly lit the fuse that would blow Damon's life, and mine, wide open. I didn't expect a reply from his mom right away. It was late, and I figured she'd see the screenshots in the morning. I was wrong. Not 5 minutes after I hit send, my phone lit up with her name. I let it ring. She called again, and again. By the 4th time, I caved. Her voice was tight, shaking, not with sadness, but with fury. "I'm coming over in the morning," she said. "We need to talk." I tried to tell her it wasn't necessary, but she'd already hung up. That night, I barely slept. My daughter woke up twice from bad dreams, and I held her close, stroking her smooth head and whispering, "Everything's okay, baby. I promise." At exactly 7 a.m., the doorbell rang. Damon's mom, Linda, stood there clutching a manila folder. Her face looked carved from stone. Once my daughter was settled with cartoons and a bowl of cereal, Linda spread papers across my kitchen table. They weren't just the printed screenshots I'd sent. She'd also printed out his social media posts from the night before. My stomach dropped. He'd been posting about me publicly. One photo from the wedding with the caption, "Some people will ruin anything for attention." Another, "When mental illness meets selfishness, innocent families suffer." And then the one that made my blood run cold. "Pray for my niece. She's not getting the care she needs." The comments were worse. His friends piled on, calling me a monster, a bad mother, an attention seeker. Some even suggested he fight for custody of my daughter. "She's not even his biological child," I said, my voice shaking. Linda's jaw tightened. "I'm cutting him off. No more money. No more support. And I'm taking him out of my will. If you need me to testify, I will. I'm sorry I raised someone capable of this." It was the first time I saw her cry. After she left, I sat at the kitchen table staring at the screenshots until my phone buzzed again. This time, it was the salon group chat. Someone had found Damon's posts before he could delete them and sent them to everyone. The women were livid. Maria texted, "Calling my lawyer cousin right now." An hour later, I was on the phone with Rachel Morrison, a harassment specialist. She explained Ohio's harassment laws and told me to start documenting everything. Screenshots, dates, times, everything. I didn't know it yet, but I was about to need every scrap of evidence I could get. The first sign came 3 days later at my daughter's school pickup. I spotted Damon across the parking lot talking to a group of parents. I couldn't hear the words, but I knew the tone, that animated, performative charm he used when he was lying. By the time I reached them, One of the moms was already pulling her child away from me, eyes narrowed. The principal showed up moments later, saying Damon's aggressive behavior had been reported. Security escorted him off school property. That evening, my phone rang again. It was Child Protective Services. Someone had filed an anonymous complaint accusing me of medical neglect and emotional abuse. The social worker scheduled a home visit for the next morning. I hung up and sat there in the kitchen, staring at my daughter coloring at the table. I forced my voice to stay calm when she asked why I looked sad. "Just a busy day, baby," I said, my stomach in knots. I didn't need a detective to tell me who had made that call. And I had no idea it was only the beginning. The CPS worker arrived right on time the next morning. I'd been up all night scrubbing the apartment and gathering every scrap of medical proof I had. Treatment schedules, prescription receipts, signed letters from my daughter's oncologist. My daughter, thankfully, was in a good mood. She showed the social worker her artwork and cheerfully explained her chemo routine. The woman's expression softened, but her next words sent a cold spike down my spine. "This is the third report about you this week," she said quietly. "Different phone numbers. Exact same wording. 3 reports. 3 attempts to paint me as unfit." She told me to file a police report immediately, that CPS would note the false reporting pattern in their system. I went straight to the police station. Detective James Carter listened carefully, flipping through the CPS documents and the screenshots I'd brought. "This is textbook escalation," he said. "He's trying to rattle you, wear you down, and build a paper trail for a custody grab." But Damon wasn't content with just phone calls and lies. 2 days later, I came out of the pharmacy with my daughter's anti-nausea meds and had my card declined. Confused, I called the bank, only to learn someone had opened 3 credit cards in my name and maxed them out at electronic stores. The charges traced back to coffee shops near Damon's work. Rachel connected me to a financial crimes specialist who started the slow process of clearing my name. "This isn't just harassment anymore," she said. "This is criminal identity theft." Then it got physical. One morning, I walked out to take my daughter to treatment and found all 4 of my tires slashed. The security footage for that exact time? Accidentally corrupted. Maria heard and quietly organized a GoFundMe through the salon network. Within hours, it had paid for new tires, security cameras, and a month's worth of groceries. I sat in the hospital waiting room, crying into my daughter's scarf when I saw the donations. The same day the cameras went up, Damon was served with a cease and desist order. He violated it in less than 24 hours. 47 text messages in a single hour, starting with fake apologies and sliding into threats. The last one, "You'll regret this." Detective Carter upgraded the case to felony harassment and urged me to get a restraining order. At the hearing, Damon showed up with a slick lawyer who tried to paint me as vindictive and hysterical. But then Linda walked in. She testified about her son's history of abuse, toward women, toward her, toward anyone who challenged him. Her words were a wrecking ball. The judge granted a 2-year restraining order, explicitly including my daughter's school, hospital, and our home. I thought that would slow him down. It didn't. He sent flowers to my daughter's hospital room with a card reading, "Get well soon, sweetie. Uncle D." The delivery service meant it wasn't a technical violation. He contacted my extended family with elaborate lies about me having a mental breakdown and putting my daughter in danger. I spent hours sending proof to relatives, hearing doubt creep into some voices. Then one day, I came home from grocery shopping and saw my apartment door ajar. Nothing was stolen, but someone had been inside. My daughter's stuffed animals were rearranged. Family photos turned backward. My pillow on the wrong side of the bed. The landlord admitted someone had called pretending to be my brother, asking about spare key policies. That night, I slept on my daughter's bedroom floor with a baseball bat beside me, jumping at every creak. And still, Damon found new ways to reach me. I was starting to realize this wasn't harassment anymore. It was war. The break-in rattled me, but the financial hit nearly broke me. One afternoon at the pharmacy, my card was declined again. This time, the bank told me Damon had opened more accounts in my name and maxed them within days. He was draining me without ever touching my wallet. Then Linda called, her voice trembling. Damon had stolen from her too. Over $30,000 siphoned from her accounts using old shared access from when he lived at home. She pressed charges. Between her case, my evidence, and the restraining order violations, Detective Carter said it was enough. The day they arrested him, I watched from my window as squad cars boxed in his vehicle. His mugshot later showed a faint, chilling smile. Bail was set at $50,000. Hours later, he was out. The money came from his newest girlfriend, an elderly woman he'd convinced I was an abusive ex keeping his daughter from him. She handed over her life savings to help him get custody. My stomach sank when I learned she fully believed his story. It escalated again when a woman claiming to be my daughter's aunt tried to pick her up early from school. Security detained her. It was the elderly girlfriend. She broke down when told the truth, then turned on Damon. He retaliated by releasing a viral video claiming I was conspiring with his mother to steal his inheritance. Strangers flooded my inbox with threats. Then came the tipping point. An undercover sting caught Damon on a jail call asking another inmate's visitor to handle me. Solicitation of murder was added to his charges. The FBI joined the case. My daughter and I were moved to a secure location. She thought we were on a special vacation. I kept that illusion alive. Other women came forward, 2 ex-girlfriends with nearly identical stories. One said he'd killed her cat when she tried to leave. They were ready to testify. Linda's health gave out 2 weeks before trial. She suffered a massive heart attack, but recorded a hospital bed video condemning her son's actions, apologizing to every victim. She died soon after. 8 months after that day in the salon, the trial began. The prosecutor's opening statement laid it bare. Damon was not a man driven to desperation by heartbreak. He was a predator who had perfected a system of control, harassment, and destruction. I took the stand for 6 hours, detailing every violation, every sleepless night, every moment my daughter cried because of him. When I spoke about her nightmares, Damon laughed. Jurors noticed. Emma's therapist testified via closed-circuit TV, explaining how the harassment had compounded the trauma of her cancer. Previous victims gave testimony by video link. The elderly woman spoke from her hospital bed, describing how he stole her savings with lies about my daughter's health. Against his lawyer's advice, Damon testified. He claimed the women were liars, I was poisoning my daughter for sympathy, and everyone was conspiring to destroy him. The prosecutor dismantled him with jail call recordings, social media posts, and timelines that showed deliberate, calculated actions. When the verdict came, guilty on all counts, I cried so hard I dropped to my knees in the safe house kitchen. 6 weeks later, at sentencing, Linda's recorded statement played. I stood before the judge and told them how Damon had weaponized my child's illness. The judge gave him 25 years to life, no parole for 15 years, in maximum security 3 states away. Permanent restraining orders for both me and my daughter. The civil suit settled quickly, $500,000 in damages from his frozen assets and Linda's estate. It covered my daughter's medical bills, therapy, and a secure new apartment with reinforced doors and cameras. The salon sisters helped us decorate. My daughter's room was painted purple, her drawings hung on the wall. She went back to school with a safety plan and slowly started making friends again. One sunny afternoon, 6 months later, I sat on a park bench watching her play. Her hair was growing back in soft curls. She laughed without glancing over her shoulder. That night, she hugged me and said, "I love my brave mommy." For the first time in a year, I believed her words meant we were safe. We had survived. We had won. We were free.